Here's a fly ball out towards center field. This one's going back, and this one is gone! Taylor gets this one out towards center field to the short porch, and it's a grand slam! That's a floater, out to short. And it's good, off the shortstop's glove! Just like we drew it from Hollywood. Caladros, the 3-2. Swing and a miss! And the Audubon Green Wave have upset the Kingsway Dragons! Grant Fournier, 2-run shot to right.
Happy Wednesday, and we welcome you to Glassboro High School for a Tri-County Diamond matchup between the Woodstown Wolverines and the Glassboro Bulldogs. The last time we stood on this very field was on Halloween in 2022, when Audubon fell to Glassboro in PKs in the South Jersey Group 1 semifinals of the 2022 playoffs. But we were up over there on the top of the hill. But now we're back down in the levee of Glassboro. Just behind us, the Rowan University campus, and right in front of us, Woodstown is taking their infield-outfield session before they get ready for a ceremony with Glassboro's Gavin Dillard, who recently surpassed 100 hits. He's your catcher today. He'll be batting third as the Misericordia commit will be headed over to the reigning Division III national champions for the 2026 season. Glassboro is kind of an interesting case. The last time that they played Woodstown, they lost 18-3. And meanwhile, they're off to a 5-2 start this year, a 4-2 start, and Woodstown's just in the same boat. They started off rocky, came back in a strong way, and now Glassboro, after starting off the season 0-2 with losses early on, they now find a way to get back into the win column here in early 2025 in the April part of the season. Woodstown, though, will be starting their freshman right-hander Walker Batavio, and for Glassboro, it'll be Jude Dempster. Now, here's the weird thing. Glassboro has the most amount of freshmen that I have ever seen in a lineup. They're starting 5 freshmen out of their 9 players in the order. That includes Tung, the shortstop, Esgro, the DH, he's a sophomore, Jude Dempster, the pitcher. Then you've got Crosby, Newell, and Harrell. The 7, 8, and 9 hitters are all class of 28 guys. Now, usually in a Group 1 school, you do sometimes see smaller participation roles, and, sometimes some freshmen do get an early head start. But I've never seen 5 freshmen in a starting lineup before for any team. And with that being said, how about both starting pitchers being freshmen, Walker Batavio and Jude Dempster? So it should be a really interesting kind of ball game today. It's a windy day. Wind is blowing straight out to left center field, and 2 teams that have a decent amount of pop could send the ball flying a decent way today. As we said, Walker Batavio is the starter for Woodstown. Meanwhile, it'll be the right-hander, Jude Dempster, the freshman, making his start for his 7th inning and beyond in 2025. We'll be right back here at Glassboro High School in the levees of Gloucester County. We'll be right back. Glassboro taking the field here on this Wednesday afternoon in a young matchup. Like we said, Glassboro's got 5 freshmen in the starting lineup today, and one of the more important freshmen in the order is going to be the one on the hill. It's going to be Jude Dempster, the starting pitcher for Glassboro today. The freshman who's coming into this ball game with a 2.33 ERA across 6 innings. Whoa, hold on. Hold on tight. I apologize as we try to brave the weather. 10 strikeouts, 1 hit batter, and 3 walks across 6 innings in the young campaign. And he'll be facing a relatively fresh starting lineup for Woodstown as well, as we take a look at what the Wolverines have to offer, brought to you by Harper Driving School. Jack Holliday is the first baseman leading us off. Rocco String, the power-hitting left fielder, gets bumped up to the 2 spot. The junior catcher, Ty Koblenz, is batting in the 3rd spot. Tommy Tucci, the shortstop, batting cleanup. Blake Bielecki in center field, batting 5th. Caden Spinelli in right, batting 6th. Followed up by Blake Rodriguez at 3rd, Dante Holmes at the DH, and then Lucas Fulmer at 2nd. Walker Batavio, the freshman left-hander. I apologize about that earlier part there. The freshman southpaw is starting for the Wolverines tonight. See if we can lock this camera angle down a little bit before we get started, as Dempster will get ready to go. And his first challenge for the Wolverines tonight, first baseman Holliday. Both Woodstown and Glassboro 4-2 in the young season. Woodstown with 2 losses to Shalleck and Pennsville, wins over Gateway, Pennsgrove, Gloucester, and Overbrook. Dempster is ready to go, and the freshman right-hander kicks and delivers. We are underway here in the Glassboro Carpenter Ave Park, and it's 0-1. We're underway with a strike. Oh-1. Breaking ball takes low. Glassboro 4-2, 1-2 in the Tri-County Diamond. They also lost to Shalleck, 12-2 on opening day. Another strike gets called. Count is 1-2. Lost 10-0 to Overbrook, but then they have won 4 straight over Wildwood, Pittman, Pennsgrove, and then a barn burner over Pennsauken, 16-10, the final score from yesterday. Breaking ball misses out with the senior catcher Gavin Dillard, committed to Misericordia. Had a nice little banner for him presented to him before the game from reaching 100 career hits. And the 2-2. Strikes. No, never mind, outside. 3-2. I saw the umpire's hand go up. I thought it was a strike called, and I was a little bit ahead of myself there. And here we go. Count is full. Dempster kicks and delivers. Ball 4. Not sure about that one, but that will get a runner on. Holliday walks. Now here's Rocco String. First pitch to String is cranked out to left center field. That ball is off the bottom of the wall. Maybe a foot from getting out. That's going to be a double. The third base coach gives the green light, and an RBI double on the first pitch by Rocco String makes it 1-0 Woodstown on a ball that nearly left the park. Rocco String, the power hitter, 6'5", also a wrestler for Woodstown. Put some muscle into that ball, and it's 1-0. I apologize, as the senior, he's 6'6", 225. I underestimated him. 7 career home runs, though, for String. 4 as a sophomore, 3 last year as a junior, including one in the playoffs versus Pennsville, another Salem County rival. This year, though, batting .412 with a .706 slugging percentage, 5 doubles. This one's laced out to center field on the first pitch. That one gets down, and it'll pass by the center fielder, Harrell. This will get String home, and what's going to be scored, a single E8, will get Woodstown their second run, 2-0. I mean, at least the String double you can chalk up to just a really well-hit ball in a hard part of the field to grab, the deepest part of the ballpark, and then that one will charge Glassboro with an error. And we'll get their cleanup man, Tommy Tucci, to the dish. So just like that, back-to-back pitches yields back-to-back hits and some early trouble. And now Woodstown utilizing their famous, if not infamous, Woody ball. Count is 0-1 after he missed on the bunt. Dempster delivers. Another pitch low. And I think after that first pitch that he offered at, now, Glassboro is in a little bit of a situation where they're trying to figure out, you know, the dynamics of this at-bat, how it's going to work, and how they're going to move forward. Another bunt. Got foul that time. 1-2. Like I've found sometimes, you know, Woodstown will, in the frequent times that we've seen them, will they'll bunt or try to bunt on the first pitch. They'll either miss or they'll foul it off, and the next pitch ends up being somewhere outside of the zone because that pitcher now has the mindset of, all right, we got to make them chase because we know they're going to try to lay one down. Another one fouled back. So a very hot start early. As Holiday walked, String doubled to center. And then a single E8 off the bat of Koblenz, the young catcher, who's been a varsity starter since his freshman year. Golf swing goes foul down the third base line. So fourth batter of the ball game, and we've already got a 2-0 start. Which, I mean, hey, Glassboro, I texted their coach last night because they Anthony Korma, they beat Pennsauken 16-10. I said, save some runs for today. Save some for the rest of us. And the 2-strike count. One will miss high. Very tight strike zone today. There's been a few that have been, in my eyes, that have been there, and then they just haven't gotten it. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. Tucci goes down on strikes. Dempster picks up his 11th strikeout of the season. And that's out number 1. For Woodstown now, that'll bring up the number 5 man, Blake Bielecki, to center fielder. He'll be followed by Caden Spinelli in right. First pitch. Misses down, 1-0. As we said, Woodstown started off the year with a 2-0 record after winning against Gateway and Pennsgrove, then lost to Shallock, which is still undefeated this year at 5-0. We'll be seeing them in probably their biggest test yet on Friday versus Rancocas Valley in an 11 a.m. start. But they've beaten both Glassboro and Woodstown in Tri-County Diamond play. That one is fouled off of the apparatus behind the dish. They beat Clayton 18-1 over Overbrook 3-2, and then an 11-1 win over Pennsgrove. Shallock will also be participating in the William Rohrer tournament at Haddon Township this upcoming Saturday, with games against Cherry Hill West and the host, Haddon Township. Swing and a miss there. Dempster starting to work in that curveball a little bit more efficiently, and the count is 1-2. One ball, two strikes to the center fielder by Alecki, and he fouls that one back to the dugout. So we'll get to see a handful of Tri-County Diamond action throughout. Overbrook will also be on our schedule after their earlier game that we were supposed to cover got rained out. Over on Saturday between Ocean City and Overbrook in the Haddon Heights Veterans Tournament. Ground ball back over to middle, hits off the mound, goes to second. Throw to first is in time. Does move that runner over to third, and that's out number one. I mean, if you're going to have a slow first inning, the best thing that you can do to compensate is a lot of offense. And 2 runs in the top of the first and a possible third waiting in the wings would definitely be a fun addition. But by Alecki, retired on the 4-3, and now this brings up Spinelli, the right fielder, moving Koblenz to third. Misses there at the letters. Spinelli, the senior, a 191 career hitter, had 10 walks last year, 6 for 31. Scored 10 runs this year, 222 average, 2 for 9. 1 single, 1 double, 2 walks, and a stolen base. That'll be hit number 3 as it goes into center. He'll get his first RBI as a senior, and Caden Spinelli extends the lead. Further trouble in the infield, and an RBI single off the bat of Caden Spinelli gives Woodstown a lot to be happy about. In the first inning, it's 3-0. The one thing that this isn't a good thing for is Jude Dempster, because not only do you give up 3 runs, but as a freshman, a lot of times freshman pitchers or freshman ball players in general, their emotions are not all that controlled yet. So they can have, unless they've been playing at those really high-level competitions, a freshman is usually more vulnerable to breaking down or not having a good comeback or a good rebound, as that one's fouled back. The last thing you want is a freshman to kind of lose all of that confidence because they had a bad inning. And even now out there now, the freshman Walker Batavio, he's now re-warming up with 2 outs because of the fact that, well, this will be the 7th batter, Blake Rodriguez, another freshman on this Woodstown program, 2 very young teams, is getting down to second, and that's not going to matter because that's strike 3 to retire the side. So Jude Dempster allows 3, but Woodstown really put the barrel to the ball with 2 runs being earned, including an RBI double by Rocco String and an RBI single by Caden Spinelli. Glassboro will look for a comeback in the bottom of the first, down 3. Walker Batavio is the starting pitcher as the first pitch of the first in a lefty-lefty matchup to the leadoff man, Tung. Will bring us back in the bottom half of the first inning. That one is grounded right back in front of the mound, and Batavio with a toss over to first is in time for out number one. Let's take a look at what Batavio has to offer this year as the freshman left-hander. 6 innings, just like his counterpart on the other side of the hill, Jude Dempster. 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, and a 3.5 ERA. Got to see a little bit of him in action on opening day versus Gateway back on March 29th. Only saw him pitch 1 inning in that game, though, a 6-0 win for Woodstown. So Tung retired. That will bring up the sophomore Sal Esgro. And he'll be followed in the order by Gavin Dillard, the catcher, as another first pitch ground ball out to short. Throw across the diamond is in time. Brought down by the first baseman, Holiday. And on just 3 pitches, we have out number 2. With that being said, let's not get too far behind. Let's take a look at what Glassboro has to offer in their starting lineup, brought to you by Harper Driving School, right down the street. Joey Tung is the shortstop batting leadoff. Sal Esgro, you just saw there, grounded out to short. Gavin Dillard is the catcher. Jude Dempster, the pitcher. Aiden Evangelisti, the first baseman. Then you've got Colin Riley at second, Brennan Crosby at third, Ryan Newell in right, and Cody Harrell in center. Those 7, 8, and 9 hitters, all freshmen, in addition to Joey Tung and one other player, Evangelisti, on there. And, excuse me, Dempster. Fly down the first base line. Holiday will let that one fall. And it's out of play. Count is 1-1. As we said, it's been 828 days since we last did a game at Glassboro High School. Halloween 2022. Ground ball out to short, and Woodstown's going to take quick care of business. How about that for Walker Batavio? Had some extra time warming up, might not have even needed it. He had 4 pitches, and he got out of the first inning. Woodstown with high hopes going into the second. They lead 3-0. Jude Dempster working in the second as he gave up 3 runs, 2 earned. As the first run came across on an RBI double by Rocco String. Was immediately followed up by a single and E8. Caden Spinelli with an RBI single to center added on the third for Woodstown as, well, their offense looking a little bit reminiscent of the last time that these two met in May of last year with an 18-3 final. But these are 2 very hitter-friendly parks. I mean, you know, the Woodstown is incredibly tiny. I mean, it's shocking that Rocco String doesn't hit 30 homers a season there. But, I mean, for crying out loud, it's 327 to center. And that's a permanent fence, too. It's got the signage and everything. But 8, 9, and 1 due up. We'll start out for Mark DeCastro and the Wolverines with Dante Holmes, the DH, followed up by Lucas Fulmer, and then back to Jack Holliday. balls, 1 strike. 3-1. Yeah, Dempster only surrendered the leadoff walk, but then that runner immediately came around to score. This one's got some distance to it in the center. It'll stay in the ballpark, and it'll go over the head of the center fielder, Harrell. Hustling into second base, sliding in with a double, is Dante Holmes, the DH. As the designated hitter does the job that his namesake requires, and it'll be the second extra base hit. I think that might have just been a bad read there. I mean, that looked like that was a playable ball, but we were talking with a Glassboro parent, and they said that they extended the fence out in center field earlier this year. Or I shouldn't say earlier this year, during the offseason when they put up the fence in early March. There's a bunt. That's a fair ball. Back in front of Dempster. They go for the lead runner, and they don't get him. Bottom of the order doing the job as they get a double on the first at-bat by Holmes, and then how about an infield single on a bunt by the 9-hitter Fulmer. Getting it done, and now it's going to be Jack Holliday who's going to look to put some more power into that one. Just very surprised here. Seems just like a defensive breakdown at the moment. I mean, they only have 1 error charged, but there are certain things in baseball that cannot be calculated by what goes down in a scorebook. You know, like that double to center field, as we're going to have another good example of Woody Ball there getting into second, will be Fulmer. But there's some things like on that read in center field, I don't think that he had, Glassboro center fielder, Harrell, don't think he had the best read on it. I think he stepped a little bit forward thinking that the ball was shallower than it was, and therefore he missed it. It went over his head. But then at the same time, you know, you see some of the other plays that he was charged an error for, and was it that egregious of a play? Maybe not. So just whatever goes down in a scorebook is only the surface, and you know that's why Major League Baseball has all the StatCast numbers and expected catch probability and stuff like that. Like the defensive metrics are probably the hardest to figure out, because with pitching and batting, there's pure numbers. There's hits, there's homers, there's strikeouts, there's walks. But in defense, it definitely can get a little bit more complicated in that way. That one's going to skip away. Woodstown, no hesitation. They're going to come home, shovel to the plate. Is in time. Sounds like they got the runner out at home. And they end up getting the successful shovel as Woodstown, with an aggressive send at a short backstop, forces the first out of the inning. Yeah, I was going to say, this backstop is not Rancocas Valley. It is not Burlington Township. This is a very short backstop behind the plate. So as long as they got a good ricochet, I wasn't surprised that with Dillard's talent that they were able to get the ball shoveled in time and ended up picking up an out as a result. It's a very good play there by the Glassboro defense. Poked foul again. He'll have a 2-2 count on him now. Here at the athletic complex dedicated to Ray Rollins, a class of 1957 graduate of Glassboro High. 3-2. Glassboro is one of the oldest high schools in the state of New Jersey. 1908 was when it opened. Hence why, you know, a lot of the football rivalries and whatnot have been around for a very long, long time. Here's the pitch. That's going to get under the glove of Evangelista in the right field for a base hit. That will get that 4th run home, and definitely, given the defense there, could have been a 5th if the run wasn't thrown out at the plate. But an RBI single down the right field line by Holliday makes it 4-0 Woodstown. I mean, you can't fault the Woodies for putting the barrel to the ball, making some good contact, taking advantage of maybe gaps in the defense, as that one's also hit in the center field. Wasting no time on the first pitch, Harrell bobbles it. That will get a runner over to third, and that's a base hit for Rocco String. He's 2 for 2. And Rocco String pulling the string on that ball and now has 4 straight hits for the Wolverines. A double, a single, an RBI single by Holiday, and String adds another to the plate. It's going to be 6 hits in just 2 innings here. And still nobody out. String goes. Throw down to second by Dillard. They're going to throw to the plate. He is safe. Goes in there safely. Holiday will score on that same play we saw Absagami execute yesterday. And that makes it a 5-piece for the Wolverines as they have exploded here on the road in Gloucester County. And it is 5-0. You wonder when that young head coach, Anthony Korma, might either have a talk or get somebody going for the Bulldogs here. Because, I mean, they are barreling the ball left and right, hitting the ball in the infield. I think their strategy right now is hit the ball where they're not. Glassboro's playing straight up on the defensive side, and now they've got runner in scoring position in String. Runner came home on that stolen base deke. And again, plays like that are going to shatter a player's confidence. And, you know, whether internally or externally as a freshman, it's a little bit harder to keep those reservations in a situation like that. Here's the pitch. That is launched out to deep left field. It is foul. Couldn't tell from that angle. Looked like it was just over the left field wall. In certainly a hitter's park, but by a hitter's park of their own doing. And that makes it 2-1 now. That's in the dirt. The reason why I say a hitter's park of their own doing is because there's a huge open field behind us and in center field. The batter's eye is at least 30, 40 feet out. I mean, the way I see it is it's a temporary fence. You can put it wherever you want. Fouled down the first base line. It'll go out of play. But in certain situations, like with, for example, I went to Audubon. There's a permanent fence that runs from about left center field where the scoreboard is. If you're a Woodstown fan, you probably know what I'm talking about because Woodstown has played at Audubon for a couple of years now. But it would be out where the scoreboard is in left center, and then it runs out to maybe right center field where the Porta-John is. That one's another one fouled back. But everything else from the left field line over to left center, and then from right center out to the right field foul pole is technically temporary, but it's not one of those, what do they call it? What do they call these fences? Not temporary fences, they call them like, I don't know, something like a plastic fence or something like that. I don't know what they would call it. Fouled back. I've heard other people call it by a different name, like farm fencing or something like that. I have no idea, but the names off the tip of my tongue. But either way, that's a little bit different. Where what Audubon has is like a rigid fence that's the same material as it's still a chain link fence, but it's broken down in pieces instead of being a little bit flimsier like this. I mean, where in this case you can see with the wind, the temporary fence is actually bending backwards, which could make ground rules a little interesting. This one is hit out to left field. It's going to drop. Here comes the throw to the plate. Third base coach gets the green light, and String will come in and score, make that a 6-piece none the richer. As now Woodstown with 3 in the first, now 3 in the second, and they have added a half dozen onto the Bulldogs' plate. 6-0 Wolverines. And make that 5 straight hits as Koblenz gets one down for an RBI. And it would have been a 4 spot if Holmes came in, as there's a throw down to second, not in time. Throw got stopped at short before going into center field, before it could go into center field. We'll have a doubleheader on Friday on DWB, a Tri-County Diamond and Olympic crossover between the Charlotte Cougars and the Rancocas Valley Red Devils. There's a strike called, and then 3:30 that day will be at Rutgers Camden between the Stockton Ospreys and the Scarlet Knights, nationally ranked, or at least they were nationally ranked, coming back from their Florida trip. Beat Rowan the other day, back here at the Rowan campus just behind us, 20 to 12. There's a strike called on the lower half of the plate, and Dempster gets some kind of redemption song there as Tucci is retired on strikes. He strikes out for the second time, and now that's Bielecki. And I think not only is this offensive outburst by Woodstown going to be a problem, but you got to remember there were only, I think, 5 or 6 pitches that Walker Batavio threw in the first inning. He's going to be ready to go. I mean, he's even warming up again down the left field line because Woodstown is just hitting so well. So it makes sense that Woodstown's right now on this like cloud 9 where they really can't do much wrong. That one's high. Dillard threatened a back pick there. It'll be 4, 5, and 6 for the Bulldogs in the bottom half of the second inning. It'll be Dempster, Evangelisti, and Colin Riley. As it's the Wolverines 6, the Bulldogs 0, and the pitch. Fouled straight back a little bit late on the fastball. But if you're Glassboro, you also have to be a little bit considerate of your bullpen. There's at least 3 or 4 guys that it was lined out to us by Anthony Korma that they could not pitch today. But this is their second of 3 games in 3 days. They played Pennsauken yesterday, Woodstown today. That one gets away from Dillard, getting down the third. That throw gets wide. It'll go down the left field line. It's picked up by the left fielder, and coming in from second on a stolen base and throwing error makes it 7-0. Get the extra point on top. As Koblenz, the catcher, mind you that they did not have him come around and score, or I'm sorry, they did not put in a courtesy runner. That was still Koblenz out there with 2 outs. Very impressive, but they opted not to go for one. Here's the pitch. There's a strike called on the inside corner. 2-2 to Bielecki, who grounded out to second his first time. But they played Pennsauken yesterday, gave up 10 runs in that game in a 16-10 game where they scored 7 runs in the first inning. There were 11 combined runs in the first inning. Glassboro 7, Pennsauken 4. And that hits him right in the back, and Bielecki will keep the inning alive for Caden Spinelli, who had an RBI single in the first inning. Also, I've been a little bit surprised that Dillard hasn't tried to slow things down and talk to Dempster. Even if Korma doesn't come out, or even if a pitching coach doesn't come out, I think that pitcher and catcher communication is important. And the last thing you want, especially for a freshman, you don't want that feeling of being stranded out there. You don't want to feel like your catcher doesn't, that you're not on the same page. Because if you're not on the same page, you need to understand that. And you need to get back on it. Especially in a ball game where you're already down by 7. Glassboro might be getting somebody ready, but we're still a long ways away from Glassboro tying this game. They have to do basically exactly what Woodstown did to do it. And listen, if they scored 7 runs in the first inning yesterday, they can certainly score 7 today. But we'll have to see how they fall in that regard. Here's the pitch. Strike called. But they play Clayton on the road on Thursday, and then another one at Triton on Saturday. So they've got a packed schedule ahead. And they need to conserve their pitching. So I think that Dempster being out there for an extended period of time could just be a byproduct of a busy schedule. There was a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks. It's not entirely surprising. Finally had some a couple days in a row of cooperative weather. Excuse me. Blah, blah, blah. All over the place here. Woodstown up 7-0 in the top half of the second. Dribbled out to third base, picked up, throw across to Diamond, is not going to get in time. It's kicked out at first base. It will go out of play. They're going to have him round third. I don't know if the runner made contact with that or not, but we're going to have to see where that lands, because I think they're going to put, yeah, it looks like they're going to put Bielecki on third and then Spinelli on second. So they'll have a mound visit here. Anthony Korma coming out, talking to Jude Dempster here with 2 runners on in a 7-0 ball game. I think that this discussion, in my personal honest opinion, nothing against Anthony Korma, nothing against his wonderful group of people over there, I think that this discussion should have happened 3 or 4 batters ago. I mean, they had 4 straight hits. They had 5 straight hits, actually, with Holmes through Koblenz, including a handful of RBIs. And I think as a pitcher and catcher combo, you can waste one of those mound visits pretty early. But what happens here if Blake Rodriguez hits one out of the park? Well, guess what? It's already a 10-0 game. Right now it's 7-0. And the offense was retired in swift order in the bottom half of the first. So it's very important for Glassboro here to just figure things out. Settle down. You've got a long game ahead of you, and it's only going to get longer if things keep going wrong. So, you just settle in, act like it's a 0-0 game, and treat those runners on second and third like they're not even there. Just face the batter, Rodriguez, as he is. That is a grounder out to third, picked up, throw across to Diamond, is in time, and the inning is over. Woodstown adds on 4 more and leaves 2 stranded. So after a quick mound visit, Korma gets Dempster out of the inning on a grounder to third. However, all 9 batters came to the plate for Woodstown in the top half of the second. We'll see what their left-hander Walker Batavio can do in the bottom half of the second to counter that in a 7-0 game. Just about 2.5 minutes away from my temporary residence in Pittman. Wasn't too far to get here, but a windy Wednesday afternoon sees a lot of offense from Woodstown. They scored 3 in the top half of the first, 4 in the second. And now the pitcher, Jude Dempster, kind of put in a unusual situation. He just gave up 7 runs on the mound, and now he's got to come up and bat and help his own cause. He hit it well. Left center field. Going back, it's over the head of String in left field. So there you go for helping your own cause. The throw down to second will be a little bit wide, and Jude Dempster has a double. That ball hit a little bit of a divot there in left center field. You could see Bielecki and String talking it over there. Looked like it hit a little bit of a rough patch there in the left center grass. But Dempster did the best thing that he could there. I don't think that there's any complaints in that situation. Given the situation that he was in, team's down 7, got to do something. Most of those runs are earned your way. Well, what can you do? Well, you can make up for it by getting a hit. That's a ground ball in the left field. Glassboro's got a little bit of fire under their belly. Third base coach stops Dempster, and a base hit by the number 5 hitter Evangelista makes things a little bit interesting here. Now here's Colin Riley. That is the best kind of situation that Glassboro can ask for. They had a rough inning defensively. They had a rough inning pitching-wise. Now just trying to settle in. And they're doing the same thing that Woodstown did. They're attacking early. They are attacking very early. The amount of times that we saw Woodstown swinging at the first or second pitch was phenomenal. And now we're seeing Glassboro, on the other side of the ball doing that as well. Misses high and away. So a double and a single back to back. Brings up Riley, Colin Riley. Downstairs, runner will break for second. Koblenz with a throw. He goes in standing and the runner is out. Oh boy, got a late start and then a very late slide. Knocks out a little bit of momentum there as Evangelista is retired on the base paths. Now with Colin Riley, instead of dealing with 2 runners in scoring position, he's got 1. And he is 90 feet away. There's a swing and a miss. 2-2. Two from Batavio to Riley. Up at the letters, 3-2. Riley, the senior, 4-year varsity player, batting .312 average as a senior. 5 for 16, 375 in the slugging world as he fouls that one back. 4 walks, 3 RBIs, 14 career RBIs, 16 walks last year, 4 stolen bases, a .273 slugging percentage, a career .258 slugger. This should get a run home as a grounder out to short from Tucci. Throw to first is in time, and Glassboro does get their first run of the game, 7-1. 2 outs now. And that will now be for the number 7 hitter in Anthony Korma's lineup. Brendan Crosby. As we said, 7, 8, and 9 for Glassboro, all freshmen. That ball's hit in the infield, into center field for a base hit. So Glassboro, after a fairly short retirement in the first, now tacks on 3 base hits. That will make the number 8 hitter, Newell, at the dish. First pitch to Newell. Popped up first base side. Out of play. 0-1. I think this is the kind of scrappiness that you kind of come to expect from a team that is starting 5 freshmen today, including the 1 hitter and 7, 8, and 9, along with their pitcher Dempster. Not to mention the fact that their 2 hitter Sal Esgro is a sophomore. As the pitch. Thought that might have hit him. Runner does get down to second, though. I think they were waiting at third to see if that ball did hit him. They say no. Counts 2-2. Runner Crosby did move up to second. 3-2. 56 degrees today here in Glassboro. And this wind is a swift reminder that we are still very much in the month of April. String doesn't see it. A fly ball to left. He does camp under it. And the inning is over. So Glassboro gets 1 back on an RBI ground out, but they could have had some more. However, they will not be shut out today, even if Woodstown adds on a few more in the third. It is 7-1 after 2 innings here in Glassboro. welcome you back to Glassboro High School. There's the Thomas Bove School over on the other side of the fence there, and the train tracks that wake me up every morning at 12:30 a.m. because there's always a train that comes through around that time of night, and I'm not too far from Glassboro High School, so yeah, I can hear it, I'll tell you that. This one's hit well, out to left center field. This one is way out of here! That one lands beyond the fence in left center field. And the bottom of the order does their job with a home run to left off the bat of Dante Holmes. 8-1. Dante Holmes with a launcher to left. I mean, even I undersold that ball. I said it was hit pretty well, and then I see it in the air, and it's headed straight for me. And Dante Holmes just sent that ball into orbit off of Dempster. 8-1. You love to see the long ball. Been in a little bit of a long ball drought lately, so Holmes now 2 for 2, double and a homer as he leads off the third with a long ball. That one's down. Strike called. 2-1. Swing and a miss. Estimated distance on that home run ball powered by Google Analytics, 390 feet to left center field. That's home run number 57 on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and home run number 8 this baseball season. Swing and a foul tip. So Fulmer retired. And that's out number 1. Looks like he got it behind the dish, so that's out number 1. I didn't even notice that. Strike called there from Holiday. 1 for 1, RBI single in the second inning. So he'll be batting for the third time in 3 innings. The Birds are looking like they want to Google the Holmes home run baseball. Strike called. Holmes, a 6-foot senior. By the way, that was his first career home run, so definitely they got to save that ball. Oh, that one, that's got to hurt. Fouled, it looked like it hit Dillard's helmet and then hit Holiday's helmet as well. Little game of pinball. And the count's 0-2. Yeah, but if Dempster can settle down in this inning, like we said, you know, the mound visits aside, my criticisms of the Glassboro, excuse me, the defense aside, didn't go up and in, 1 and 2. You know, my criticisms aside, they are playing 3 games in 3 days, and they threw a handful of guys in a barn burner yesterday, and they're going to play Clayton tomorrow. This is probably the toughest team out of the 3 that they're playing, with this being the only home game of the pair as well. There's a ground ball out to second, picked up. Throw to first is in time, and that's 2 quick outs. Just the second time in today's game for Glassboro that they've recorded 2 straight outs. Dempster has 3 strikeouts. But Anthony Korma coming out with 2 away facing String, the power hitter. Looks like he called for the baseball. They're going to call for somebody from left field. They're going to make a couple changes here. So We will be right back as it looks like Anthony Korma pulls the string here as Rocco String is at the dish. 2 outs and nobody on in an 8-1 Woodstown game. New pitcher for Glassboro, Sal Esgro, the sophomore right-hander, is the pitcher. A flat 0 ERA in 3 innings, 1 run unearned, and 3 strikeouts. He's appeared in 2 games this year, the 10-0 loss to Overbrook and the 16-2 win over Pennsgrove. Here's Rocco String, he's due for 2. Strike called. Good grief. Somebody call the Rays. We need a dome in this place. I actually enjoyed my time in Tampa. A lot of people don't like Tropicana Field. It's very unfortunate what happened to it. I don't think that the damage to the ballpark will at all accelerate a new stadium being built either in St. Pete or Tampa Bay or Tampa City. There's a strike called. 1 and 2. Went there in 2021, right at the very end of those COVID restrictions. It was at like 50% full, and then about 2 weeks after we left, they just said, yeah, we're done with that. Downstairs, 2 and 2. Yeah, if anybody was going to hit a home run, I thought it was going to be Rocco String, but it ends up being Dante Holmes, his first career blast. Counts 2 and 2 as that breaking ball went low. Koblenz, who has 2 singles to his name today and 2 RBIs and a run scored, will be next. String gets a hold of one in the right. That's a base hit. And String keeps the inning alive. I mean, Woodstown's offense is just so consistently good today that it's really hard to ignore. As we said with Rocco String, 3 singles now. I'm sorry, 3 hits, 2 singles, and a double. But still, 3 for 3 in 3 innings. That'll help with his case there for the 3-sport athlete: football, wrestling, and baseball. That's what I said to one of my folks when we saw Woodstown. I think I was telling Jake Clark about it in late March when we saw Woodstown versus Gateway. I said, think of this. Woodstown is such a rural part of South Jersey that you can have a guy who's 6'5", 225, and doesn't play basketball. I'm sorry, 6'6", 225, and doesn't play basketball. I mean, that's almost Aaron Judge size. He's 1 inch shorter than Aaron Judge, and he's a senior in high school. They make him different in Woodstown. That's just how it is. I mean, Salem County, in general, there's not a lot of competition when it comes to getting kids. Woodstown itself is in a very rural part of the county because you have Pennsville, Penns Grove, Salem Tech. What am I missing here? And then Woodstown and Shallock. There's really only 6 schools, unless I'm forgetting some, in the county. And even with that, Pennsville and Penns Grove are in their own little corner there, right next to Wilmington. There was a lot of industry in Pennsville and Penns Grove. And, once they all up and left in the 90s, I saw an article about the towns in New Jersey with the lowest property tax. I think 6 of the top 20 were in Salem or Cumberland County. All the industry got up and left. Whether it was DuPont or whether it was anything that was there, all the plants that they had in Pennsville and the unfortunate treatment of the PFAs that were going on there. It was very unfortunate what happened down there. But Woodstown and Shallock are in the same county, but they're in their own kind of bubble. Koblenz will walk. That'll bring up Tucci. The only runner, actually, besides Rodriguez, Koblenz and Rodriguez are the only batters for Woodstown not to reach. Tucci, 2 strikeouts to his name today. As Woodstown has 2 runners on in the top of the 3rd. 8-1 ball game. Right next to the very busy Carpenter Road. Lined into left, base hit. The right fielder who came in from left throws it to the plate, not in time. Throw was a bit short getting into the infield, and it's now 9-1 as Woodstown plates their 2nd of the 3rd. Scoring is String. Koblenz to 2nd. And again, Koblenz staying out there with 2 outs. And I just jinxed him. We will have a courtesy runner for Koblenz. That is number 21, Jalen Markward, who will be running out there for the catcher, Koblenz, with 2 away. So Sal Esgro gets charged with his first run of the outing. That one will miss. 1-0. A little surprised by that one. And the 1-0. Strike called. They're going to back pick to 2nd for Markward. He is safe. Tough call down at second base. But he did get back in time. Count should be 1-1 now. Man, we are getting whipped around like a piñata in a hurricane. And, ugh. Although I am very lucky that it's 55 today and not like 40 like it was in Cumberland in late March. That was brutal by all means. He got him. Inning over. So we must have had the count wrong in one aspect or another. But Woodstown scores 2 more, including a solo shot to left off the bat of Dante Holmes, his first. And we go to the bottom half of the 3rd, 9-1. Walker Batavio, the pitcher for Woodstown, still in the bottom half of the third. Glassboro looking for some answers in kind of every aspect of the ball game. They've been down defensively, they've been down offensively, and they've been down on the pitching side. And as we said, they're in the second day of a 3-game set, and now, especially because they'll be traveling a little bit further down the road to Clayton tomorrow. Shouldn't be too far, but that Pennsauken drive should be a good at least 30-35 minutes coming from Glassboro. As Harrell, who started the game in center field, but then got moved during the pitching change for Sal Esgro, who was the DH. Whoa, hello. Wind gust is going to carry this ball out to left field, though. String going back. He leaps and makes the catch. Rocco String brings that one down, and it's out number 1 as the freshman Harrell is retired on a deep fly ball to left. Looks like that one was going to be headed right for us, but String's athleticism as a 6'6" senior keeps this one in the ballpark. Brings us back to the top for Joey Tung, freshman shortstop. Good lefty-lefty matchup here for Batavio. It's Woodstown 9, Glassboro 1. They have scored multiple runs in every inning today. 3 in the first, 4 in the second. That one's lined down the left field line and foul. 4 in the second, and then added on 2 more in the third, including a solo shot to left by Dante Holmes. Last Tuesday, we saw a 5-home run game between West Effort and Collingswood at a 13-6 final. And in that game, we saw West Effort hit 3 home runs. Collingswood hit 2. It was the most home runs ever hit in a high school game. It might have even been the most in any game in DWB history. The only thing I can think of, because we don't track summer league stats for home runs. We only track high school and college for those, just because summer league's a little bit more amateur. Not amateur, but it's a little bit more of the Wild West, if you ask me. But 2023, there was a game between the Haddonfield Summer League team and Cherry Hill, and a Cherry Hill team. It was played at the Haddonfield JV field. So if you've ever been to Russ Spicer Diamond, I'm trying to think here. Here's the pitch. Fouled back again off the apparatus behind the dish. It was, if you've ever been to the Russ Spicer Diamond, it is behind that in a little gully. It's an all-dirt infield, and I remember going there in 23 and doing the measurements. It was our second game in our partnership with the Tri-County Summer League with only 280 to left. And these are grown men, Division I college athletes. So I think there were a good 7 or 8 home runs in that game because the final score was 21-7. But that is a strike 3 called to Tung. First strikeout for Batavio. And now here's Esgro. Swinging a foul tip, 0-1. Esgro, who started out the game as the designated hitter, now re-enters as the pitcher in the 2 spot. Some out-of-town scorecards from around the state. Clearview leads Washington Township 1-0 in the 4th inning. Not sure if we have too much on the board here. Just because there's not a lot of teams that post live updates. Woodstown is one of the few that does it. And it's apparent that, I think it's Blake Bielecki's dad or something like that does it. Because we were talking to Mark DeCastro about it. He says he helps run it, but the live updates are done by a parent, which I think is cool. Just because, I log on at 7, 8 o'clock at night and I see all these score updates coming in, and I'm thinking I'm doing the broadcast, but unless a reporter is at the game, we don't really get much. And there isn't a lot of love in that baseball style as there is for football or basketball. Basketball, we have no problem getting out-of-town scores. Football, on a Friday night, we have absolutely zero trouble talking about like 20 or 30 different games at once. As there's a swing and a miss. Side retired. Batavio picks up his first and second strikeouts of the afternoon as Woodstown looks to add on some more in the top half of the 4th, 9-1. up here on the busy Carpenter Street. Parents and cars alike parked along the sideline and parked along the little road there. And Sal Esgro will start the fourth. Strike called. Woodstown 3 in the first, 4 in the second, and then 2 more in the third, including a home run to left by Dante Holmes. In the dirt. And now another quick meeting here between Dillard and Esgro. Dillard will be the one to lead us off in the bottom half of the fourth, but before that, we do have to get there. It is Spinelli, Rodriguez, and Holmes, 6, 7, and 8. As Glassboro will bat 3, 4, and 5 in the bottom half of the fourth. Thing is, for Woodstown, though, they have been incredibly consistent on offense, and I don't know if it's much that Glassboro can do anything about. Whatever pitcher you put in there, they've put in a freshman and now a sophomore. An opportunity will arise at any point for Woodstown to have a very quick memory, have a very quick way of figuring things out, and then find a way to attack. You know, some teams have to wait an entire rotation of the order to see, you know, what's hot and what's not, what pitchers are looking good, how can you approach it differently. And then Woodstown just seems to have a lot quicker of a memory. You know, you say the whisper down the lane philosophy. It's hello. Oh, my goodness. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. Here's the I'm starting to expect sharks to come out of the sky. Here's the 3-2. In the dirt. No. 3-2 now, excuse me. Spinelli, a single and an error to his name today as the 6-hitter. Woodstown with 9 runs on a grand total of, let's see here, 7, 8, 9 hits. Could be looking for number 10 after this pitch as the 3-2 is grounded over the middle, out to short, picked up, throw to first is in time. Out number 1, just got him by a step. Very close call there. And Glassboro picks up their first of the fourth. Woodstown's up by 8. Just, you know, what they need is a little bit, they just need a little bit of, of a better pitch recognition, because obviously they're dealing with a bit of a wonky strike zone today. A lot of the pitches at the letters haven't been getting called. It's been maybe shifted a little bit low. So that has been something that they should keep an eye on, like that one up and in. That was a ball, but if you shift that over a little bit, just talking about the height of the pitch, some of those, or most of those today, haven't been called. So it's a little bit of an interesting phenomenon to see how that strike zone is breaking down and how Woodstown is attacking it. It's 2-0. We should be seeing Glassboro again on April 28th versus Overbrook. That game's not entirely confirmed yet, waiting to get some stuff figured out in our broadcasting and also personal schedules before we confirm anything for that far out. It's 3-0. That's the one regret that I've had about the baseball season so far, is how many changes we've had to make, whether it's competition changes or whether it's weather changes. You know, we did the whole hour-and-a-half production of the Dan Wilkins Broadcasting Selection Show, the Swing into Spring show, with Jake Clark and Damian Waiters, and of course David Cohen, our producer today, was there for that as well. But I think a big thing that I've regretted about this season is how many games have had to be changed. Yesterday's game was not originally supposed to be on that schedule. It was PVI and Cherry Hill West, but that game had been moved and already played. West ended up winning that game 5-1. That'll be a walk to Rodriguez, his first appearance on the base paths today. But, like, for example, Monday's game, Triton and Highland, was not planned. Well, what happened? Well, the game that we were supposed to do in Highland, April 30th, I'm going to a Phillies game that night instead. So things change. Things absolutely change. Do they change a little bit too much? Probably. I think football is a little bit more consistent because there's less room during like midweeks to flex around. There's only games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Sunday, if you're doing this very rare kind of exhibition, if you will, as a throw over to first, not in time. Glassboro does have an arm warming up down the right field line in the pen. That one's out in front of the mound. It will roll foul. Looks like that was number 16, Jimmy McMahon. That was warming up in the pen. And again, another freshman. So here's Holmes, who hit the home run in the third inning. And now batting again, picks up the strikeout. Out number 2. Number 9 hitter, Fulmer, up now. A bunt. This one's going to roll out towards the mound. Throw to first is lollipopped. It's held on to, though, at first base by Evangelista, and that'll put 2 runners on now. Woodstown really knowing no bounds for that Woody ball philosophy, as Fulmer picks up his second hit of the day. 2 singles for him. Turns the lineup card back over to Holiday. Count is 1-0. Jack Holiday to lead off first baseman. Strike called that time, 1-1. That will hit him. Now, just like that, the bases are loaded for Rocco String. Which, if there was one guy that you don't want to load the bases for, maybe it's not the 6'6" guy with 7 career home runs. But, alas, that's what we've got going. Shocking thing about this game is that no batter has recorded, or there's been no, 2 RBI thing. There's been solo home runs, there's been RBI singles. There hasn't been a multi-RBI at bat. So if String drives in multiple runs, he'd be the first to do it. Already 3 for 3. An RBI double in the first, and then 2 singles in the second and third, respectively. So he's getting his 4th at-bat in 4 innings. As he crouches, gets one high and away, 1-1. But Woodstown, just an incredibly consistent and powerful approach early. Really impressive what we've been seeing out of them. As there's a strike called, 1-2. Here at the Glassboro Athletic Complex, the Ray Rollins Complex. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and the bases loaded for the senior slugger, String. Misses high. They fake the back pick. Nothing going there. And the pitch. Lined, left center. That will split the gap. Goes out to Harrell in left center field, spins and fires. 2 runs are going to score. They'll get String to hold it first, and a 2 RBI single for Rocco String. Makes it 11-1. gets Woodstown a little bit more comfortable now that they're at that 10-run threshold. And String now with 4 for 4. Getting Holiday to third, scoring Rodriguez and Fulmer. Gets Koblenz now. 1-0. This broadcast is brought to you by Garden State Pet Center. Keep your pet happy and healthy today with the most organic food products available in South Jersey. Along with toys, cages, accessories, and much, much more, visit 226 South Whitehorse Pike in Audubon. 7 days a week, by the way. They are open 7 days a week. Two balls, no strikes. Another strike called that time, 2-1. Two balls and one strike to Ty Koblenz, the junior catcher, who's been enjoying a very good season so far. Line to third, that one is caught, and the inning is over. Woodstown gets 2 more on the board as their offensive triumphs continue with a 2-run single by Rocco String. We'll go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Woodstown 11, Glassboro 1. There's Rocco String out in left field. Wanted to give a special shout out to his sister watching in Florida today, and his grandparents, either a grandparent or an aunt, didn't hear him correctly, in Ohio. So, well-traveled, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. As they lead 11-1, they picked a good game to tune in for the Wolverines as Rocco String 4 for 4, 3 RBIs, a double, and 3 singles. And also courtesy to Rocco String's dad for having a quick conversation with us between innings. Outfield playing deep here for the batter Dillard. That one misses. 2-1. Woodstown has had an incredibly efficient offense today. 7 batters in the first inning. 9 came up in the second, including 4 runs that came across. 7 more came up in the third, and another 7 came up in the fourth. So in no part of this game has Woodstown batted less than 7 batters in an inning. And Gavin Dillard will give Batavio his first walk of the game. Strike called. To Dempster. Dempster had a double to left center in his first at-bat. Dempster fouls it back. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper pass on the first attempt. If you like those odds, you can book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman at 614 Lambs Road. There's a swing and a miss. He was going. That was a weird at bat there. He was going to go down to first, then he stopped, and then he started again, and then the umpire officially called him out, making for out number 1. So with Batavio on the hill, I mean, this is not how I thought this game was going to go. Even with prior history, Woodstown has won all 5 of the prior matchups between Woodstown and Glassboro, including 18-3 back in May of last year when these two last met. So yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit odd, but to say the least, what's been a big thing for these guys is that the 2 starting pitchers were both freshmen, Jude Dempster and Walker Batavio. For what I could gather, that this is the only time that's happened in DWB history. There's a swing and a miss. Back pick down to first. Holiday doesn't see it. It lands over towards second base as Batavio picks up another strikeout consecutively. He's now struck out 4 across, well, 3 2/3. And now it is Colin Riley, senior outfielder, batting here for the second time. Swing and a miss, 0-1. A lot of smiles on the Woodstown outfielders' faces. String and Bielecki having a nice conversation. Up by 10, 11-1. Strike called. Oh no, 2-1, excuse me. In a lot of ballparks, that would be a strike called. Let's just put it there. Here's the 2-1. Ground ball, hit well out towards Tucci. He has trouble with it. Got a bad hop at the edge of the grass, and it goes into center field. Bielecki brings it in. It's going to be a tough scoring decision there on the bad hop. But it does move Dillard to third. And Colin Riley will reach. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to score that. I want a lean base hit because it was a routine play, but it looked like the ball bounced before it went to Tucci's glove. And especially, listen, if we're talking about Major League Baseball, that's different because every field is conditioned to be the same way. It's conditioned to play the same way, and it goes through a rigorous process with the same dirt and the same grass, everything like that. The exact dimensions are the same. But when we're talking about a rural high school in South Jersey Group 1, can you really punish them by the same standards? Not really. I don't really score my games like a Major League bookkeeper just because of how different infields can be and how different the grass can be. I mean, the grass is tall here in the outfield. It is not very short, and the ball isn't going to roll that much. When we saw Maple Shade and Holy Cross at Trenton Thunder 2 weeks ago, that's a different story. The grass, again, conditioned professionally. They were one of only 3 games in all of South Jersey to play. And that was because it was at Trenton Thunder Stadium, former home of the Yankees AA team. So it makes sense that in that kind of scenario, yeah, there's going to be better conditions for all of that. While all of the high school fields, as that will be a walk to load the bases, that will be a little bit different. I know that Glassboro, when this field gets out of hand, it floods a couple inches here. Turns into Glassboro Lake, as plenty like to call it. Mark DeCastro coming out to talk to Walker Batavio. Let's talk about the week ahead on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, as it looks like Batavio will stay in the game, but they will get a arm ready to go. On Friday at 11 a.m., we've got a doubleheader. We've got the Shalleck Cougars, the RV Red Devils of Rancocas Valley at 11 a.m. from East Hampton. We then travel down to Camden for a matchup between the Stockton Ospreys and the Rutgers Camden Scarlet Raptors at 3:30 in NJAC play. On Tuesday, April 22nd, we return to Rutgers Camden for a matchup between the Centenary Cyclones and the Rutgers Camden Scarlet Raptors, followed up by a high school colonial matchup between the Haddon Township Hawks and the Gloucester Lions at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, April 23rd. Thursday, April 24th will be a matchup between Seneca and PVI in Olympic play, and then a doubleheader on Friday the 25th between the Burlington Township Falcons and the Cherokee Chiefs in another BCSL and Olympic clash, but two teams in the same Burlington County. That one we'll skip in. And then on Saturday, well, guess what? We're going to have two games again on Saturday. We are going to be at the East-West rivalry, Cherry Hill East facing Cherry Hill West at 12 o'clock on the 26th. And then we've got, we've got West Windsor North and West Windsor South at Trenton Thunder Stadium. We're returning there for two more games on Saturday the 26th and one more on Sunday the 27th, as we'll see Sayreville and Matawan. Two teams that aren't exactly in our range, but that'll be a 12 o'clock start on Sunday the 27th. Home of the Trenton Thunder MLB Draft League team. Count is 3-1. Batavia working with the bases loaded and 2 outs for the batter Newell. That's ball 4. And in the unlikeliest of scenarios, Glassboro will get a run on a bases loaded walk. And it's 11-2. Knocking Woodstown out of that 10-run threshold. They needed another inning to do it, but Harrell at the dish now. Well, they're going to make a change here. Not a pitching change, but a defensive change. What they're going to do is they're going to have second baseman come out because it looks like he's going to warm up. Again, classic Group 1 baseball. Move the second baseman out so he can warm up. Swinging a foul tip there by the 9-hitter, Harrell. So what they did is they took Fulmer out, replaced him with Jalen Markward, and now they're going to get a pitcher, as in Fulmer, move him to the left field side and get a bullpen catcher out there and somebody with a little bit of protection to take care of business inside. Well, this is the last thing that Woodstown wanted. It's a cold day. Those guys are winning. They're winning by a lot. They want to go home. Last thing you want is to have pitching trouble, especially from your very nice freshman lefty, Walker Batavia. I think if he gets that velocity up, he reminds me a little bit of Luke Wood. I mean, Luke Wood has been getting his velocity up to, at least last year, before he got hurt, he was like at 88, 89. And the lefties, they are a dime a dozen here in South Jersey. And by that, I mean they're very valuable. Luke Rogers out of Holy Cross, Luke Wood, Pennsville, Jason Stockland out of Audubon. Like, there are a lot of guys who, if you are a left-handed pitcher who throws fast, a lot of colleges are going to want you just because you throw left-handed. There's a strike called, and Glassboro will leave the bases loaded. They do get one run across on a bases-loaded walk, but Woodstown leaves all 3 stranded. We go to the top of the 5th. Woodstown will need another run to get to the mercy rule threshold. However, given their offense today, odds are that they could very well do that. We go to the top of the 5th, 11-2. was about to start talking, and then I realized I didn't have my headset on. But we are in the top of the fifth inning. Walker Batavio struck out 3 to end the threat in the fourth. Glassboro got a run home on a bases-loaded walk, but that's all she wrote in the fourth. And now Woodstown will need one more run to get to the 10-run threshold, as they now lead by 9 after the one-run inning by the Bulldogs. Swing and a miss. The new pitcher for the Bulldogs is number 16, Jimmy McMahon, the freshman right-hander. Again, I mean, there's at least 7 or 8 freshmen listed on this roster, some that we haven't even mentioned today, like Ryan Gadzadzik. Well, we already mentioned Ryan Newell, Sam DeClaudio, Chase Rosario. But most of the freshmen that we've seen today were the starters. 5 freshmen starting for Glassboro. That's a tall order. I mean, regardless of how this game ends up today, I think that they should still, go into Clayton tomorrow with some confidence, because it is not easy to go into a game after winning 16-10. It would be one thing if you won 6-0 or even 16-0. But you gave up 10 runs, and I would imagine that they did burn through some pitchers yesterday as well. They had 3 players, including Tung, that were unavailable on the roster, as it's a swing and a miss. Out number 1 to start the 5th by Tucci, who has been kind of an unfortunate bearer of bad news today with 4 strikeouts. That's always a deflating feeling for a kid. I mean, especially in a situation like this, the entire team is doing very well. The entire team is hitting around. The entire team's hitting home runs and doing this, that, and the other thing. As that one hit him right in the backside, as Bielecki will get the first base. But it's unfortunate, because I've had that feeling as well, where the entire team is doing good but you. And it doesn't make you feel good. You've got 4 strikeouts. Somebody's got a home run. Somebody's got, Rocco String, two spots before you, has 4 for 4. I'm not bashing Tommy Tucci. I'm just saying that, as somebody who's been there and done that, who's been in the situation where, yeah, you're not having the greatest day, but everybody else is, it makes you feel a little bit lonelier out there. Sometimes it makes you feel a little bit stranded. I mean, he's in the cleanup spot too, and Woodstown overall as a team has been doing very well. But let's be honest, in the back of our minds, the individuality of baseball is very much a real thing. It's popped up down the first base line. I mean, we all like to think that individual stats don't matter and that team stats and team performance rule above all. But if you're talking about it from a practical standpoint, these players want to get recruited. These players want to go places. Gavin Dillard, committed to Division III Misericordia, the reigning national champions, as Dillard himself is going to throw it down to second, and he got him. He got him at second base. That's out number 2 as Bielecki's retired. Heard a lot of oohs, ahs, and wows from that, as Spinelli has a 2-1 count. As a right-hander warming up for for Woodstown. I tried to say Woodstown in the bullpen, and it came up with a woolpen, which I guess if the bullpen was named after sheep instead of cows, it would be a woolpen. But that'll be ball 4 to Spinelli. The funny thing is, as there's a ground ball out to second, it doesn't get stopped. It goes into center field. Harrell will throw to third. That throw gets picked up. And Rodriguez with a base hit to center field to move the runners over. So Spinelli walked. In the blink of an eye, he moves all the way to third on Rodriguez's first hit. And now here is Dante Holmes. The funny thing, I saw something a couple of years ago about PETA, the vegan organization. They were protesting the word bullpen. They said it should be called something else because it's inhumane to cows or to bulls as animals. Well, the thing is that the bullpen actually isn't named after a pen where bulls or any kind of animal is. The original purpose of a bullpen, I mean, there's always been a place for pitchers that were entering the game to warm up. But around the turn of the 20th century, between the 1890s and the 1900s, a lot of times the bullpen would be a hidden pitcher's mound behind commonly a Bull Durham tobacco billboard. So what it would often be is that because the Bull Durham people would pay more money to get a larger billboard at these original ballparks, they would make the bullpen or the pitcher's area behind the Bull Durham billboard so that they could get easier access to a larger area so that fans and the opposing team couldn't see where the other pitchers were warming up. Now, these days, it's pretty common knowledge who's warming up and where. A lot of times, if the bullpen isn't on the field in MLB, there's always cameras there, and I know Wrigley Field had their bullpens on the field when we were there, but then the year after they moved them to underneath the grandstands in left and right center field, so they enter from under the bleachers. Count is 3-2 and 2 outs. Woodstown needs one more run here in the top of the fifth. They currently lead by 9, and the pitch is upstairs, and the bases are loaded. Holmes walks, and here's Fulmer. So misses upstairs. And that is where the Durham Bulls, the AAA Rays, and the movie Bull Durham come from. Bull Durham was a tobacco company in the early 1900s, and like we said, they would often pay, just like today, how it feels like everything is named after, or it feels like when we're talking about like Philly sponsors, let's say that, you see the giant Asplund construction billboard and left. You see the Xfinity sponsors all around the stadium. Well, Xfinity and Asplund probably pay the most money for the sponsorships, so they get the most say in where things go, and they probably get the largest billboard in terms of advertising money. So back in the day, Bull Durham would probably pay the most money. As a tobacco company, they'd have probably the most funds to do it, and then they would get the bullpens. And it became like a little bit of a gimmick, where like the Bull Durham sign would be in the left field side, and a fan would win money or a prize or something if a ball hit the bull, which was a literal like statue, just like today in San Francisco, the Coca-Cola bottle or something like that, or like the Monument Park in center field at Yankee Stadium. The count is 2-2. A couple of balls have missed outside here, with Fulmer the 9-hitter. Got a big task for him here in the top of the fifth, up by 9. Bases are loaded. The pitch from Glassboro will miss. And we stay alive. It's 3-2. McMahon looking to work through the jam with the bases loaded. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners all go. And that is strike 3 called just at the lower part of the plate. The side is retired. Glassboro will play another inning and will go at least 6 today as we go to the bottom half of the fifth, 11-2, Woodstown. Woodstown is a new pitcher in the bottom half of the 5th inning here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. This broadcast is brought to you by our good friends over at the Rowan College of South Jersey Roadrunners. Yeah, they're only 10 minutes away here from Glassboro High School, so prospective athletes who wish to join the Roadrunners in their national contending championships and championship-winning athletic programs should visit rcroadrunners.com and fill out the prospective athlete form. That's going to be out at first base as Jalen Marquard came up with it after a bobble. And Tung is retired as we have 1, 2, and 3 batting for Glassboro in the 5th. As we said, though, the Roadrunners, winners on the field and winners in the classroom. You can join me in the Roadrunners with a form fill out at rcroadrunners.com. So Tung 0 for 3, grounds out to second. The new pitcher for Woodstown will be number 26, Blake Rodriguez. He comes in from third base, and a handful of defensive changes were made, either because of the score or because of the pitching change or because of both. But Blake Rodriguez moves from third base to the mound. Jalen Marquard, who came in at second base after the original second baseman came out of the game, Lucas Fulmer, I thought that he was going to come in the pitch. But then we saw Rodriguez warming up down the left field line when Woodstown was batting, and that kind of changed it a little bit. So Jalen Marquard is still in the game at second as, whoa, look out. That one goes up and in to the former pitcher Esgro. He started the game as the designated hitter. So Sam Chard is the new fielder at third, and Jalen Marquard stays in the game at second base. Grounded in between third and short. Apologies for the camera twitch there. That throw is going to be way wide. An E5 there as a routine grounder doesn't go to plan. And it's going to be a runner on first for Glassboro. And it's funny, the only reason why we're even guaranteed to be playing a 6th inning is because of the fact that Glassboro got a bases-loaded walk in the bottom half of the 4th inning. And then Woodstown, batting 6 in the 5th, failed to score. Left the bases loaded, too. It was a weird inning. Oh. Runner does get on. Everything's flying all over the place. Cameras, bags, that's at least the 3rd bag to come out of the equipment cart because of a giant gust of wind. It's honestly pretty shocking there's only been 1 home run today. With the wind blowing straight out, the headset is the only thing keeping my hat on my head and maybe even my head on my head. As now Gavin Dillard, who picked up a walk, now brings it over to Dempster. So an E6, a free pass. Hit by pitch, excuse me, I'm saying the wrong thing. I knew that bat was short, and then Dempster, now at the dish, misses inside, 2-0. Yeah, this game I thought was going to be a little bit scrappier with 2 freshmen starting. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a barn burner like we saw with Glassboro and Pennsauken yesterday. Not what we saw, but what Glassboro saw in that situation. There's a swing and a miss. Big hack by Dempster. 2-1. Up high. Anything positive is coming out of this weather. The sun is out. There's a ground ball up the third base line. That's going to trickle into the left field corner. Glassboro gives the green light as the ball just dies out there. String a little bit slow to pick it up. That's going to be an RBI double. That trickled and rolled at the snail's pace down the left field line as Dempster gives Glassboro another run. It's now 11-3. So Glassboro got their run whether Woodstown wanted it or not. And now that brings up the number 5 hitter, Evangelista. as Dempster contributes his second extra base hit of the game. Strike called. So Esgro was the one who came in to score. Dillard is now at third, and we've got runners on the corners for the Bulldogs. That's a dribbler. Out to short, actually out to the pitcher's mound, as Rodriguez picked that one up and stopped it. Out number 2. Does move everybody up, though, as runners on second and third here. As Evangelista taps out. He's 1 for 3. Now here's Colin Riley. Ground out and a single to his name, 1 for 2 in the ball game. Here's the first pitch. There is a strike called. Shalleck and Woodstown in a huge Tri-County Diamond matchup will play under the lights at Elmer Little League in Salem County. 6:30 p.m. on May 6th. So we get a little bit later on in the season. Blooped. Shallow right field. It's going to drop between both Holiday and the right fielder. It will score another run, and Glassboro with an RBI off the bat of Riley. It's 11-4. Don't look now, but Glassboro is starting to get some bats to the ball here in a very late part of the ball game. They still trail by 7. They'll need a touchdown and an extra point. Call Timmy Breaker for that one, but Crosby will now be the batter. A single and a walk to his name. I mean, even with Glassboro only scoring 4 runs, there have only been 2 batters in Glassboro's lineup to not reach base at any point. Glassboro went down in order with 3 groundouts in the first. Dempster and Riley combined for the first run on an RBI groundout. Hitters went down in order in the third. Got home a run on a bases-loaded walk off the bat of Newell. Well, not off the bat, but at Newell's at bat in the fourth. And now they've tacked on 2. That one skips past Koblenz. Dempster retreats to third, and everybody holds up, Colin Riley included, over at first. Grounder out to Tucci again. Picked up on the backhand. Throw to first. It's going to be high. He'll get tagged off the bag, but he will make the tag at first. The throw sent Holiday wide, but the runner was tagged out before he got him there. So even though Holiday didn't touch the bag, the inning is over on the tag regardless. We'll go to the top of the 6th inning. Glassboro adds on 2 more as an unfortunate ground out by Crosby retires the side. Bulldogs plate 2 and bat 7. We'll go to the 6th here in Glassboro, 11-4. This has been an unusual game at that. Woodstown 11, Glassboro 4. Looked like Woodstown was well on the way to a mercy rule win, and even with an 11-1 lead, they certainly looked like it, but Glassboro said no. They got a bases-loaded walk in the bottom half of the 4th inning. And then, well, guess what? Woodstown was held scoreless in the top half of the 5th inning. And then Glassboro 2 more runs in the bottom half of the 5th. So we enter the 6th here at the Ray Rollins Complex with McMahon, the freshman right-hander. Fouled back on a hefty swing there. Good news for Woodstown if they want to get some runs back is that they've got 1, 2, and 3. Holiday, String, and Koblenz. Outside. Woodstown 11 runs, scored 3 in the first, 4 in the second. Added on 2 more in the third, including a solo shot by Dante Holmes. Ground ball out to short. Picked up, throw across the diamond is in time. Now number 1 as Holiday is down. So now it'll be Strong. 4 for 4. Good contender for player of the game today. As Holiday, in his 5th plate appearance, grounds out. String with 3 RBIs. 3 singles and a double in the first inning that brought home the game's first run. But, I mean, Woodstown, like we said, just incessant on the offense. They have been very good in that regard today. That is a fair ball down the left field line. He's got 5 hits. It is stopped in the left field corner. String will park it at second, and he's got 5. 5 for 5 for number 16, and that will send his batting average to the moon, I'll tell you that, with a big hit there with 1 away. And now that brings up Koblenz, the catcher. This ball's hit well, out to left, foul. This broadcast is brought to you by Vincent's Lawn Care. Keep your lawn the best as it can be in South Jersey with top-of-the-line lawn care from Vincent. Vincent Folk, a good friend of ours here at DWB. You can give him a call at 609-413-0403. That one's down. So String on second after his 5th hit of the day, his 2nd double. And like we said, 3 RBIs for the Wolverines. Here's the pitch. Inside. This is the 12th time Woodstown has appeared on DWB. And shockingly enough, all of those appearances have been in baseball. We have never seen them in basketball. I might be wrong on that entirely. I think they did 1 appearance in soccer, in boys soccer, during a playoff game. That might be it though. We've only been to Woodstown once, so they've had 11 games on the road with us. Just because, as we said, we love Woodstown, but they are in the middle of nowhere, and the internet service sometimes can be a little bit in the dark, as most farm areas do. Shallock has that same problem. We'll be seeing Shallock on Friday in a little bit of a better cell service area in Rancocas Valley at East Hampton at the RVRHS Sports Complex. Count is 2-2 to Koblenz. Poked out towards right center field. This got some good distance to it. It's over the head of the center fielder. String will come in to score. Make that 12 for the Wolverines, and now String gets in there, and it is 12-4. So that's a dozen. Back-to-back doubles. As McMahon runs into some trouble here in the 6th. And now here's Tommy Tucci. 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. Koblenz on second after his second hit of the day. He's actually had his third hit of the day with now his third RBI. Well, mid at bat, now that there's only one out, but they're going to still sub out Koblenz at second base for number 22, which we'll check our handy little paper roster here real quick. That'll be Stone Hassler. That sounds like a wrestling name. Stone Hassler. Instead of Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's just a hassler. He hassles you. Maybe he'll wrestle Joe Hendricks one of these days. Outside. Should remind you, speaking of wrestling, this broadcast is brought to you by the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, or Dog Pro Wrestling, New Jersey's premier pro wrestling organization with high-flying events and nonstop entertainment throughout the Garden State. You can visit their website for more information on future events and ticketing. Visit dawgprowrestling.com. Let's ball to Tucci, and for the first time today, he will reach base on a free pass. With runners on first and second, Stone Hassler on second base, and then Tommy Tucci on first. It's really a shame that I never got into pro wrestling. I understand that the Dangerous Adrenaline folks, they sponsor us to do an excellent job with their shows. I don't think I could sit down and watch like a full WrestleMania or anything like that. My uncle is actually a WWE author, Brian Shields, if you know who he is at all. Oh, that was weird. They replayed that last pitch with what happened, because the batter went back to the box. I think they may have gotten the count wrong, so they sent him back and then they walked him anyway. So now here is Bielecki. Outside 1-0. But he's written several books involved with the WWE. He wrote the biography on Ric Flair. He also was a scriptwriter in the WWE 2K video game series. I don't know if he was the head scriptwriter. I think he was pretty high up in that regard for several years, up until 2020. Like I said, I've never played the WWE 2K games. I play a lot of sports video games, but I've never played that one specifically. That one's going to miss as well at the letters. 2-0 is the count to Bielecki, with Spinelli, the right fielder, on deck. Woodstown 12, Glassboro 4. McMahon delivers a big swing and a miss on the changeup, 2-1. Outside, and that's okay. We had the wrong count then. Bases are loaded. Back-to-back walks. We'll see if Korma decides to change things up a little bit. He will not. Still stays dormant in that dugout. Now here's Spinelli, the number 6 hitter for the Wolverines. First pitch misses outside, 1-0 to Spinelli. Spinelli with an RBI single in the first inning, an E6 in the second, grounded out in the fourth and walked, did not score in the fifth. The fifth was the only inning where Woodstown did not score, and even then they loaded the bases and brought 6 men to the plate, the highest possible. In the left, base hit, Spinelli. That'll be another one for him. Green light from third, Hail Mary throw to the plate, not in time, it's cut off. 2-run single for Caden Spinelli. That's his third RBI of the game, and you can now make it another 10-run lead. It is 14-4. As Woodstown putting up a big number here. Scoring Koblenz, or at least his runner, Hassler, and Tucci. Up at second is Bielecki. A 2-run single for Caden Spinelli brings up the pitcher, Blake Rodriguez. It's 1-0 now to Rodriguez as that one missed low and away. Didn't go that time. 2-0. Also down that time. 3 balls, no strikes. Only unoccupied base is third. 56 degrees today here in Glassboro. Certainly doesn't feel like it, with winds up to and gusts up to and above 30 miles an hour. The wind was blowing straight out to left. Now it's kind of shifted off to the side. That will be a 4-pitch walk to Rodriguez. Spinelli to second. And now it's Dante Holmes. They do have a runner at first for the pitcher Rodriguez. Didn't catch the jersey number, but we'll be able to see it if he moves up or if he turns his back. As now here's Dante Holmes. 2 hits, a double, and a homer to his name today, along with a strikeout and a walk. That runner at first is number 33. If I can open up this piece of paper given to me by the very nice Coach DeCastro, that is Sol Elmer. Ground ball, laced to third. It's dropped. Now they're going to throw to Dillard at the plate. They hold at first, so they did get the out. That'll be a 5-2 fielder's choice. That'll be out number 2. As Holiday was retired on the first out of the inning, and then 7 batters later, we get out number 2. Bielecki out at the plate. Spinelli to third. Rodriguez's runner, Elmer, to second. And now Holmes at first base for Fulmer. Strike called, 0-1. So that run would have been 15 for Woodstown, but instead it's just a 14-4 game after the fielder's choice at home. 0-1. So am I going to miss that time? 0-2. Don't forget our next broadcast. We will have a doubleheader on Friday, April 18th. 11 a.m. first pitch between Shalleck and Rancocas Valley. I'm sure that Woodstown and Glassboro fans might want to tune in that one to see a preview, or maybe not a preview because they both played them, but I'll look into the Shalleck Cougars and the UPenn commit, Luke Prokrovsky. I would be surprised, I haven't looked at his pitch counts, but I would be surprised if he doesn't pitch on Friday in a big game against a Group 4. That one didn't go, 1-2, but, excuse me, either way, in that regard, we'll be seeing them at 11 a.m. and then 3:30 p.m. Stockton and Rutgers Camden. There's a strike called. Inning over. They leave the bases loaded, and 2 very crucial outs keep the game where it is, as a fielder's choice out at home and then a strikeout looking to the 9-hitter Fulmer retire the side. Glassboro will have their last swings because they're down by 10, and they'll need 1 more run to keep the game alive going into the 7th. It's 14-4. Last chance for Glassboro. And we said that before, and look what happened. Woodstown scored 3 runs to make it 14-4 as they now lead by 10. Blake Rodriguez with the first pitch as a strike. Woodstown, for the second time today, sent 9 men to the plate. Like we said, they haven't batted at any point in the game less than 6, which was in the 5th inning. It was 7 in the first, 9 in the second, 7 in the third, 7 in the fourth, 6 in the 5th, and then 9 in the 6th. As now we've got 8, 9, and 1. Newell, Harrell, and Tung, 3 freshmen in a row for another freshman, Blake Rodriguez. There's a strike there. It's got a little bit low there, but he did call it the strike. Rodriguez, the 5'11 freshman, 1 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs and 4 walks. Swing and a miss. He got him. Harrell down on strikes as Rodriguez picks up his first K in relief, and it's out number 1. They're saying it. They were saying it's the top of the order. No, it's not. It's Harrell. So it's 9 and then 1. I almost wanted to correct Rocco String there, but he corrected himself. First pitch to Harrell is up and away. 1-1. Harrell 0 for 2. Fly out to left and a strikeout. A win for Woodstown would bring them to 5-2. Bring them to their 3rd straight win. They have a home game versus Cinnaminson tomorrow, and then a road game at Sterling on April 19th. Honestly, Sterling has been red hot this year. I think that'll be a really good matchup with them being 6-1. As a pop-up caught at short by Tommy Tucci, down to the last out for Joey Tung. And then after that, they play Kings Christian at home on the 21st at 10 a.m. And then Salem at Salem in a Tri-County Classic bout there on the 22nd. Glassboro with a loss would fall to 4-3. That would snap their 4-game winning streak. They lost to Shalleck and Overbrook, both in mercy rule fashions, to open up the season, and then 4 straight wins followed that. So they've been on a roll, but Woodstown has definitely given them a punch to it. They played Pennsauken yesterday, won that game 16-10. They played Clayton and Triton on the 6th, 17th, and 19th. This count is 1-1. Then they play Shalleck on the 24th as a part of that spring break. So here we go. 1-1 from Rodriguez. Tapped foul, and we're down to our last strike. Glassboro was on the edge of a mercy rule earlier in an 11-1 game, and then a bases-loaded walk in the 4th made sure that we stayed alive for another inning. And then Woodstown in the top half of the 6th inning scored 3 runs. Blake Rodriguez looking to shut the door and send the Woodies back home. 1-2 is away, 2-2. So a strikeout, a pop out to short were the first 2 outs of the 6th. As Woodstown looks to go home an inning early, not yet. That's fouled onto Carpenter Road. Almost hit one of the vans up there. I am shocked that the foul balls have not hit the cars like I thought they would, like we usually see at Gateway. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rodriguez is set. He looks down as junior catcher Ty Koblenz, as after a long pause, the 2-2. Another tapper foul. Slow curveball found its way in the bottom of the zone. Still 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. As the pitch to Joey Tung, the freshman, popped up. This could do it. Over towards the third base side, headed towards the hills. It's a fair ball. It's going to drop. Now getting down to second is Tung. He's in there safely. And Glassboro's dreams are alive for one more batter, as Sal Esgro will now bat. And remember, to get this game into the seventh, they just need one run. So a unorthodox bloop double down the left field line by Joey Tung, the freshman, does it. And now it goes to the sophomore, Sal Esgro. He pitched briefly in the ball game, started out as a DH, and now found his footing in the 2 spot of the order. A 14-4 ball game. That one is going to skip up. Tung will get to third. Koblenz doesn't see it. And now that game extending run, I don't say game saving, but the game extending run is now 90 feet away. And with 2 outs, Rodriguez was 1 strike away, and now he's got a 1-0 count, a runner on third, and a tough situation. Either the bus driver is going to start the bus now, or he's going to put the key out of the ignition for a little while. And the answer is he'll put the key out of the ignition. Glassboro is going to keep it alive for a 7th inning. Not going to be mercy ruled today. An RBI single out to right center field by Esgro makes it 14-5 as Glassboro hangs on for just enough to keep this game going into the 7th inning. Here's Dillard. That one's outside, 1-0. Could have had dinner at home, but I don't know if that's happening tonight. Glassboro with an RBI single by Sal Esgro to keep this game alive for a full 7 today. Kind of like that Buna Gateway game from earlier in March. Buna was up by 9, and then Gateway kept the game alive, or they were up by 10, and then Gateway got a run back to keep the game alive, and then Buna scored up another 9 runs, won the game 20-3. Fouled back. Two balls, 1 strike to the Misericordia commit, Gavin Dillard. That one is high, 3-1. There have been plenty of highlights in this game, I'll tell you that much, as Fulmer still warming up down the left field line. Dante Holmes with a home run in the 3rd, his first career home run after a handful of extra base hits last year. Dillard, fly ball. Who knows where it is? It's caught in right. Nobody saw it except for the right fielder, and the inning is over. Glassboro just got enough to send this game into the 7th inning. An RBI single by Esgro keeps us alive and keeps us cold. We go to the 7th. Woodstown 14, Glassboro 5. Top of the 7th inning. We are denied a mercy rule today, and Glassboro denied itself an opportunity to be mercy ruled, which, hey, I mean, listen, as much as I can, whine and complain about how this game could have been over and stuff like that, kudos to Glassboro for not giving up. I mean, this is a very valiant and very young team that has a lot of energy and a lot of fire in its soul. So the fact that they got the RBI single by Esgro kept the game alive. Now it's a 9-run game in the 7th, and they'll have 4, 5, and 6 in the bottom half of the 7th. Call me crazy. Crazier things have happened. I'm not saying it could happen today, but this game has been one that has left a lot to the imagination. I mean, Woodstown coming into this game a little bit uncertain about how they will do in this game against a Glassboro team that, well, hasn't played these guys yet, and Woodstown put up an 18 figure when they played Glassboro last May, and they've won all 5 of the last appearances between these two teams. So it's not entirely out of the equation to say that Woodstown was the favorite going into this game, but with Glassboro at their home field, it's not entirely a bad idea. But the count is 1-1 to start the 7th, with Holiday after 9 men came to the plate in the 7th. Again, Fulmer warming up, fouled straight back. Thought that one had gotten some airtime to it, but instead, that one went back. Strike 3 called. And String will be the batter. Rocco String, a day to remember. For the left fielder, 5 for 5. 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, 3 singles. Just a perfect record overall. One and 0 to String. That ball's hit fairly well. Out to center, though, straight away. He misjudged it and then came in. That was very good guidance from the left fielder to make sure that Harrell was in the right spot. You could hear him say, in. I think the ball might have been caught up in the sun a little bit. I think he might have gotten lost there because he was kind of stutter stepping. And in that regard, he just ended up not being in the best spot, but ended up getting good guidance there from another fellow freshman in Ryan Newell. By the way, the new pitcher is Cody Harrell, with 2 outs in the top half of the 7th inning. Glassboro has thrown 4 pitchers out today, 3 of them freshmen, and this is his first appearance on the hill. They started out the game with Dempster, went 3. In the 4th, put on the right-hander Colin Riley, or actually no, it was Sal Esgro. Then they put in Jimmy McMahon, and now they have turned the ball over to Harrell. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That one is down. Threw it behind him. And for the first time today, String did not record a hit. In fact, he recorded a walk. Here's Koblenz. Strike called, 0-1. So String reaching on a walk. And Koblenz with 3 hits of his own and 3 RBIs again. Hits this one out to shallow left. Another misread, it's going to drop. And String will advance. Now bringing up Tucci, who has an 0 for 4 record, but Koblenz adding to his with his 4th base hit of the day. One ball, 1 strike. To the left-hander. That one is down. So the batter for Tucci, I apologize that I missed on it. It's Cosmo Saran who is batting for Tucci. The runner at first, actually no, I'm sorry, the runner at first is Cosmo Saran, who is running for Koblenz, who just picked up the walk. And then we have a lefty in the box. Don't think that's Tommy Tucci, though. Count is 3-1. We'll find out if he gets on base here. Runner at third is unoccupied. And he'll step off. Three-1. Got a strike on the outside corner. Maybe a favorable one at that. The only players on the bench that we haven't seen today are Dante Spina, Chase Harding, Aaron Foote, Cole Begley, and Mike Valente. Everybody else has either appeared in the game at one point or another, or has been a starter. It's ball 4. So the bases are loaded, and we're going to find out who that gentleman is. That is, let's see here, running down the first base line. See where he parks it. That is number 33. Okay, so that is Zach Harless, I think. Number 33, Sol Elmer. Okay, so that was Elmer at the dish. I apologize for that oversight. You know, you have a 2.5-hour game. Things can drag a little bit, and Sometimes you forget to jog your memory. Way high. Got saved at the backstop by Dillard. Three balls, no strikes. And a bases loaded walk. That's the first sign of a game losing its grip a little bit. Bilecki walked, make that 15 to 5. Bringing up now Spinelli. Strike called. Ground ball, third base side. That's a fair ball. Throw across to first. Runner is there, and the inning is over. Woodstown adds on one on a bases loaded walk, and we go to the bottom of the seventh here in Glassboro, 15 to 5. Well, this game, which had a lot of offense and a lot of excitement, came to a screeching, grinding halt. And the new pitcher is number 3, Lucas Fulmer. It's Fulmer, who started out the game as the 9-hitter at the second base spot, now faces Glassboro for presumably the final time in the bottom half of the 7th inning. That one is inside. No good there. 3-0. a 4-pitch walk. That's ball 5 in the Texas A&M way. Here's the pitch. Grounder foul. So with 1 run scored in the top half of the 7th inning, two strikeouts took care of it. And another 7 batters came to the plate for the Wolverines in the top half. Hit well, but it's floated out to second base. Throw to first is not in time. They got the one. No, they did get both. They got both at first base. A 4-3 double play as Dempster, who got on a leadoff walk, now fast forwards this game right into the last out. Ball 1. So how about that? A beautiful play at second. I think that's Malwark out there. And now Colin Riley bloops it. Center field and caught. Ball game. Woodstown in an offensive barrage scores 15 and downs Glassboro 15-5 in a game that just wouldn't die. There was several moments where Woodstown looked like they had a mercy rule, and Glassboro didn't deny them a valiant effort, and they never gave up. But with Glassboro's young roster, just couldn't get over the hump in the final score today, 15-5. Your player of the game, presented by the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, is Rocco String. 3 RBIs, 2 doubles, and a 5-for-5 performance. He picks up today's player of the game as the 6'6" senior mashes his way to victory. The winning pitcher of the ball game will be Walker Batavio, and then the losing pitcher will be Jude Dempster. Time of game, 2 hours and 43 minutes. Just 4 off of the longest of the game, as a quick discussion going on between Mark DeCastro and Anthony Korma and the umpires. So Anthony Korma's out there along with, I mean, all the players are running and doing their post-game routines. But they do, okay. I wasn't sure what the issue was, but those two just shook hands, so I think that they're okay, maybe having a discussion about something that happened. I'm not sure what it was, but looks like no harm, no foul there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure there was no issues there. But final score today, Woodstown 15, Glassboro 5. From our entire crew here at DWB, our social media coordinator, Haley Mejia, our graphics crew, Gavin Van Rel, Caleb Lane, and Liam Nolan. My producer, sticking it out in the brave cold weather, David Cohen. I'm Dan Wilkins. We'll see you on Friday for Shalleck and RV and Stockton and Rutgers Camden. Have a good one, folks.